the airline industry ever look the same again? In recent years, airlines appear to be enjoying a new golden age.
As a group, the airline stocks are hitting, get this, a 14-year high today.
Record numbers took to the skies, nearly 4 billion passengers annually, and with that came record profitability. Then virtually overnight, the COVID-19 pandemic brought air travel to a halt. In May, TSA screenings in the U.S. alone have dropped dramatically compared to the same period last year. Back in March, when bailout talks began in Congress, the devastation facing the aviation industry put it nearly first in line for rescue relief. Yet some even questioned whether the industry was worth saving.
How does anybody deserve to get wiped out?
Well, but just be clear, who are we talking about? We're talking about a hedge fund that serves a bunch of billionaire family offices? Who cares? Let them get wiped out. Who cares?
The U.S. government felt otherwise, propping up the industry with $50 billion in funding. But that money won't be enough to solve the biggest crisis the industry has ever faced. With no obvious path to profitability in sight, a timeline for a return to normal, well, major CEOs are saying not months, years. So what options does that give airlines? The U.S. market itself has little room left for consolidation. Just before the shock of 9/11, there were 9 major carriers. Today, there are 4.
9/11 was something that nobody expected to happen. It was, until 2 months ago, the worst disaster, economic disaster in aviation history. In 2008 and 2009, we had the big economic recession, and that was a big deal to airlines. And we saw a bunch of airlines decide that it would be better to merge with a competitor than go after it alone.
The 4 majors, Delta, American, United, and Southwest, combined control around 80% of all miles flown in the U.S. The remaining market is made up of smaller carriers, several of them low-cost ones like JetBlue, Allegiant, and Spirit Airlines. A merger among the majors is still possible, and antitrust regulation has been favorable to them in the past, but the remaining 20% of the market may be more likely to see bigger changes.
You know, there are always these ideas of what could happen, right? So Spirit Airlines and Frontier Airlines both fly the same type of airplanes. They have almost exactly the same business model. Why couldn't they merge? Alaska Airlines, what if somebody got into trouble and Alaska and JetBlue merged? These sorts of things could happen.
Can the airline industry adapt in the meantime? Some airlines have gone so far as to seal off the middle seats to improve social distancing measures. But few believe reduced passenger loads are a path to profitability. With global borders still not fully open and quarantine restrictions required upon landing in some countries, experts and executives agree that international travel will be the last part of the air travel industry to recover. And what about business travel? Corporate travelers are usually less than a fifth of all passengers, but can make up over half an airline's profits. Zoom, WebEx, and other teleconferencing services have many in the business world asking if they may ever log so many miles again. One thing appears certain. With air travel ground to a halt and a vaccine still out of reach, the airline industry is about to get smaller.
Look, when September 30th comes around and the payroll protection money runs out, airlines are still going to be flying a lot fewer flights than they expected, and they will need fewer people. So I expect to see layoffs and furloughs as fast as on October 1st.